The third and last topic of the day, the new media landscape. It's basically a prediction of what's to come. And, lately the user privacy has never been more prominent in media as it is today. What do you think are some of the latest changes, and how can brands navigate this new landscape?
Yes, a big topic. There's a lot happening in the market, currently, and I mean we've seen shifts and trends into this, I guess, privacy first focus over the past few years, but it's accelerating, it's booming at the moment, and I think the next 2 or 3 years will be, I guess, a very pivotal moment for digital media. I guess there's a range of changes happening and it all stems from consumers, indicating that they want their data to be more secure, to have more control over their data. That's prompting governments to, I guess, roll out new regulation. We've seen that in Europe with the GDPR. We've seen that in California too. There's a lot of discussions in Australia at the moment, right? Every part of the globe, every country is sort of thinking about this, right? It's a very present issue for governments, and for advertisers, publishers, brands, everyone working in the digital media. It's something that we talk about a lot, right? For good reason, because it will be our new norm very soon, if it's not already, right? It's something we need to prepare for. And I guess I mean some have been forging ahead, like the likes of Apple, by implementing this new, and we've talked about that before. Some are a bit more reactive, but everyone is sort of keeping that top of mind at the moment and trying to prepare as best as possible for this. Now, I guess one of the big thing that is, I guess, the high, like the
Technical of it? The pinpoint?
Yeah, the pinpoint probably is the third party cookie, which is, that piece of technology that we've been working with for decades now, and it's so important in everything we do in digital media, right? From tracking, from measuring, from retargeting, everything sort of centers around the third party cookie, and that technology is becoming obsolete, obviously, because it doesn't meet the requirement from a privacy standpoint anymore. And what we're all trying to do is identify what the next solution will be. So obviously tech providers are working on what that new solution will be. We as agency need to understand the different sort of options that are out there, and how will we succeed in a world where third-party cookies don't exist anymore, right? Because that has quite huge implications for the way we conduct business and how we advertise. So yeah, I think it's something that everyone sort of needs to focus on at the moment. You cannot just let that conversation go by the wayside. As a brand, as an advertiser, you really need to understand, take that time to understand. There's still a lot of work to be done. There's still a lot of work being done, but now is the time to really invest effort and time into understanding the implications for your business.
So that's the cookieless future we're talking about.
That is the cookieless future, yes.
So when you're saying the brand should understand it, what measures should they take right now to understand it and to guard against it?
So I guess the first thing is, third-party cookies are about that, third-party data, right? Considering that moving forward, we won't be able to rely on that third-party data, or at least that the solutions that might replace the third-party cookie are not quite there yet. We know that there is going to be more importance on the data that we can sustain, and that data is first-party data. It's typically the most quality data, right? It's the one that is obviously, that is acquired consensually with the full consent of users. So we know that it meets the privacy requirements of the new world, right? And it's also highly qualitative. Um, that is going to be one of the keys for brands in the next few years. Um, the first thing that brands need to think of is their first party data. What strategy do they have? What data do they currently have? How can they use that data? And more importantly, how do they want to use that data? So I think they need to think holistically on how they're going to take the data they have or acquire new data, and how they're going to use that and leverage that across their own and paid channels. That will be key, in my opinion. The second thing I think is, and that ties into using that data, is the modeling that needs to happen to derive meaning from that data. A lot of the time, brands have data sitting in every sort of place, different servers, different sort of CRMs, different platforms. Bringing that data together is not necessarily an easy thing, and modeling and machine learning plays a big part in that. Trying to sort of isolate audiences, trying to derive meaning from that data. So it's another thing that I think brands need to investigate. Look at the options that are out there, the tech that is out there to help them derive meaning from that data.
Okay. And with a cookieless future, it has also been predicted as the second coming or the catalyst for contextual behavior. How much do you think that holds true? And do you think it will ever compensate for the loss of cookies?
Yes, it's a good point. I think this, I guess, contextual targeting has never really, been lost, but it has sort of fallen aside a little bit as we've been relying more on tracking, and we've been leveraging that technology. Now, I think one thing that's important to note is that the end of third-party cookies doesn't necessarily mean the end of tracking and the end of I guess digital advertising as we know it. It's a transition phase, and I expect that the technology provider out there, the ad platforms, will come up with solutions. They're working really hard to come up with solutions at the moment, and it's just a matter of time, in my opinion, that where we will have maybe not one technology, but a set of technologies that are going to replace or be a suitable replacement for third-party cookies. It might not be an exact replacement. It might be something that will not deliver exactly the same, I guess, functionalities and possibilities that we've been working with so far. But there will be a solution, in my opinion. In the meantime, though, there is a transition, and I think what we can expect is that the next 3-4 years, and we've already seen that happening with the ATT, for example, that started, like through a massive span in the wheel, right, where all of a sudden, for a lot of advertisers, data went missing. They were not getting sort of the measurement that they were expecting. There were fluctuations in campaign performance, and I guess the natural response to that for advertisers is to maybe take a step back and go back to something that they know can work, right? And it's contextual targeting is in a sense, that step back. And I think it definitely plays a role, and it's probably something that we should have invested more or kept front of mind before anyway. But I think there's a reinventing of contextual targeting, and I guess a relearning the way to properly do contextual targeting. And the reality too is we still have a lot of third-party cookie data that can be leveraged, right? It's we've seen players in the market that are trying to bridge the gap between the two, building, I guess, audience profiles at the back of third-party data, third-party cookie data, and trying to line that back up to the sort of publications and articles that they read and the sort of content that they engage with, so that they can take that behavioral profiling and apply it into a contextual sort of environment. We've seen that happen quite a lot. I think until there is a new solution, that is sound, at least that has been tested, that is viable and confirmed, there will be a tendency to shift back to trial and tested, methods. Contextual targeting is one of them, and I think there's a definite place for it, especially in the short term. I think content will be key, creatives will be key, and I think there'll be a lot of work done on that front. And the reality too is publishers will invest a lot in first-party data. We've talked about first-party data, for brands, but publishers are investing heavily on first-party data, and they're going to leverage that to, I guess, offer advertisers the right content for their audience. So the contextual targeting will be, in my opinion, done more smartly and more granularly, and it's going to be a lot more people-oriented. But I think we will see a lot of that. Yes.
And we mentioned the importance of first-party data and that it is increasing, and the publishers are going to do something about it. What about from the marketer's point of view? How do they build it and how do they leverage it?
Yeah, I mean, I think the first thing is to I guess understand what data they already have, right? And how they can take value out of this. I think the first thing that brands need to look at is probably auditing their data, looking at where it sits, what data they have. Some brands are going to be better positioned than others when it comes to that. Obviously, some brands, let's say those that have a subscription model, they have a lot of first-party data, and they're going to be in a much better position to leverage that. Others might need to look at ways to gain that data. And if it's not first-party data, they might need to leverage their network, their resellers to acquire data that they can leverage. And then it's a matter of, using it, finding ways to leverage it. There are a lot of, I guess, technology out there that are about, bringing or deriving value from that data. And we've talked a lot about CDPs, customer data platforms, that are really about that, about bridging the gap between the different data points, which might be first-party data, third-party data, and building cohesive, sort of people-oriented audiences that can then be leveraged across owned and paid media channels. This is the sort of technology that will be, prevalent and will be really essential for brands to get their head around, understand what's out there, and I guess decide which technology, which piece of technology they will be relevant and the right for them, the right fit for them. I think it's a mentality shift too. I think brands need to embrace this and need to educate their internal teams and have a cohesive approach from the data collection point of view to the media buying point of view. There needs to be a cohesion there, and I think lots of things are changing at the moment. I think it's essential to keep an open mind, to discuss things openly with your different partners, with your different providers, your agencies, like us, your tech providers, your data management companies or agencies, partners, and it's a journey we're all on board with. It's and I think it's essential that we all work cohesively together to deliver, or find the best solution for each of our clients. It's going to be a long journey, and from what we see, some clients are quite advanced in that process. Others are the sort of initial early stages. I think the machine is going to start, getting into gear now, because time is sort of clicking, and the last browser that we know is still relying on still allowing third-party cookies is Chrome, and they've said that they've extended their deadline, but we're still looking at end of 2023, which is pretty close, right? Yeah. So there's still time, but I think now is the time to really, get the wheels in motion.
Okay, well, last question. AI, automation, and machine learning, right? It is an increasingly hot topic lately. What's your take on that? And Why is it more crucial now than ever to get this part right?
Well, I guess, I mean, as you say, we've talked a lot about automation, AI, machine learning, over the last 5+ years, and so far it's been more something that's been happening behind the scenes, or that we could decide to sort of utilize or not. More and more we see that automation is an integral part of everything digital, and in a lot of ways we don't really have the option to sort of buy into it or not, right? Some of the major platforms out there, whether it's Facebook, Google, and the likes, have incorporated automation, machine learning within every aspect of their offering, right? From a creative point of view to a bidding point of view. Everything involves an element of machine learning and automation. Some of those, I guess, controls have been removed from us now, right? We see the likes of Facebook that are pushing the dynamic creative to all advertisers, and almost not giving us the option to test creatives manually. So this sort of automation is embedded into the algorithms and into the way those platforms operate. And then obviously, when I talked about modeling before and deriving meaning from first-party data, automation and machine learning play a big role in these too. So I think moving forward, it's not going to be a matter of either or. It's going to be a matter of machine learning. AI is going to be there, and it's a matter of understanding it, understanding how it works, and the value that it can give us as advertisers across every facet of digital media. And that's where I think specialization will still be key. Understanding how the different algorithms work, and how, like, which sort of bidding setting to utilize based on I guess what we're trying to achieve for a campaign is critical. It won't be just a sort of a one setting fits all. There is a lot of granularity with those automation. So it's a very powerful thing, and I think it's a great shift. But it will be something that we'll see across the board, more so than we ever have.
To the future.
To the future.
Well, thank you for your time. That was very insightful, and I guess we'll see you in the next episodes of Let's Chat.
Sounds great. Thank you.